Hello again, folks, and welcome to the channel. DJ here. You're always welcome, as you know. I enjoy reading your comments. If you'll make some comments, I do invite you to give comments to what I publish here. And I would ask you, if you haven't already subscribed, that you subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a penny, not even a cent. It doesn't even cost you a rupee. It's totally free to subscribe. So press that subscribe button if you will, please. It helps me with these reports. Now, what I want to talk to you about. Well, what is an ER nurse? Yeah. Well, an ER nurse is an emergency room nurse, and it's a registered nurse. So, ER for emergency room, registered nurse, RN, and they specialise in providing care for patients in emergency situations, hence emergency room, ER nurse. These nurses work in fast-paced, high-stressed environments and are often the first medical professionals to see patients in critical conditions. ER nurses are responsible for assessing patients' conditions, administering medications and treatments, and communicating with other members of the healthcare team to ensure patients receive the appropriate care. That is why I take notice of when one speaks to me from the USA. And an ER nurse says this is the best description of a woman having a heart attack that she's ever heard of. Female heart attacks is my heading here, and I was aware that female heart attacks are different. But this is the best description I've heard. Different from what? From men's conditions. And I'll explain that in a moment, because in 2013, I had a heart attack. I was in bed. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I was in bed. I had an urgent need to go to the toilet. And it's next door to me. It's attached to my room. And so I left my bedroom, walked into the bathroom, and the pain in my chest, and I went bang, straight away, hit the wash basin, had a massive bruise down my arm. I lay there unable to move in absolute agony. No kidding here. 4 days. In the fetus position, couldn't move in agony. And on the 5th day, I crawled down the stairs, head first, and went to I always put my car keys up on their peg, but this time I'd left them for some reason on my coffee table in my lounge. I crawled to it. I took the keys and I drove to the doctors. I arrived at the doctors and I said, to the receptionist, and I said, I've had a heart attack. And she said, no, you haven't. If you'd had a heart attack, you wouldn't have been able to walk in here. Just then, my doctor was coming in through the room. I mean, doctor, I've had a heart attack. He said, no, you haven't. If you'd had an heart attack, you wouldn't be standing here now. Yeah. So then it was Wednesday, and when I arrived, and the lady who's the nurse who does the ICRs, sort of heart checks, he said, "Oh, give him a check." And she says, "Okay, but you haven't had a heart attack." And she's doing it, and she runs out the room, and I hear her shout, "Doctor, doctor, he's had a heart attack." And I was in agony and couldn't move. So that is the difference to what I'm going to explain about women's heart attacks, their experiences. And this is a generalisation, of course, but this is what usually happens. So I was aware of the female heart attacks are different, but this is the best description that I've read. Women rarely have the same dramatic symptoms that men have. The sudden stabbing pain in the chest, the cold sweat grabbing the chest and dropping to the floor that we see in the movies. Here is the story of one woman's experience of a heart attack. I had a heart attack about 10:30 p.m. with no prior exertions, no prior emotional trauma, and no one suspect might have brought it. Nothing I could understand might have brought it on. I was sitting all snugly and warm on a cold evening with my purring cat on my lap, reading an interesting story my friend had sent me, and actually thinking, this is the life, all cosy and warm in my soft, cushy, lazy by with my feet propped up. Moments later, I felt an awful sensation of indigestion. When you're in, the ones you get when you're in a hurry and you grab a bite of a sandwich and wash it down with a dash of water, and that hurried bite seems to feel like you've swallowed a golf ball going down this esophagus. It's there, in slow motion, and it's most uncomfortable. You realise you shouldn't have gulped it down so fast, and you needed to chew it more thoroughly, and this time drink a glass of water to hasten the progress down the stomach. This was my initial sensation. The only trouble was I hadn't taken a bite of anything since 5 p.m. Remember, it's not me talking, this is the lady. After it seemed to subside, the next sensation was like a little squeezing motions that seemed to be racing up my spine, squeezing up my spine. In hindsight, it was probably my aorta spasms, gaining speed as they continued racing up and under my sternum, the chest, the breastbone, where you press for CPR. This fascinating process continued on into my throat and branched into both jaws. Aha! Now I stopped puzzling what was happening to me. We all have read and have heard about the pain in the jaws being one of the signals of an MI. Happening, haven't we? This is her speaking. I said aloud to myself and the cat, "Dear God, I think I'm having a heart attack." I lowered the footrest. This lazy boy. I lowered the footrest, dumping my cat from my lap, and started to take a step, and I fell to the floor instead. I thought to myself, if this is a heart attack, I shouldn't be walking to the next room where the phone is, or anywhere else. But on the other hand, if I don't, nobody will know that I need help. And if I wait any longer, I may not be able to get up in a moment. So, I want to see what she wrote. I pulled myself up with the arms of the chair, walked slowly into the next room and dialed the paramedics. I told her I thought I was having a heart attack due to the pressure building under my sternum and radiating into my jaws. I didn't feel hysterical or afraid, just stating the facts. She said she was sending the paramedics over immediately. As the front door was near to me, and if so, could I unbolt the door and then lie down on the floor where they could see me when they came in? I unlocked the door and then laid down on the floor as instructed, and I lost consciousness. As I don't remember the medics coming in, their examination, their lifting me into the gurney, or getting me into the ambulance. Or hearing the call they made to St. Jude emergency ward on the way. But I did briefly waken when we arrived and saw the radiologist was already there in his surgical blues and cap, helping the medics pull my stretcher out of the ambulance. He was bending over me, asking me questions, probably something like, "Have you taken medications?" But I couldn't make my mind interpret what he was saying or form an answer. I nodded off again, not waking until the cardiologist and partner had already threaded the tiny angiogram balloon up my femoral artery into the aorta and into my heart, where they installed 2 side-by-side stents to open up my right coronary artery. I've had 1 stent, I didn't have 2. Well, that's what I believe anyway. I know it sounds like all my thinking and actions at home must have taken at least 20 to 30 minutes before calling the paramedics, but actually it took me 4 to 5 minutes before the call. And both the fire station and St. Jude, I must point out, in America, the fire station, they provide the ambulances and the paramedics. It's not Britain, remember. So both the fire station and St. Jude are only 8 minutes away from my home, and my cardiologist was already on the go in his scrubs and get going restarting my heart, which had stopped somewhere between my arrival and the procedure, and installing the stents. Wow. Why have I written all this for you with all this detail? Because I want all of you who are so important in my life to know what I learned firsthand. 1. Be aware that something very different is happening in your body. Not the usual men's symptoms, but the inexplicable things happening until my sternum and jaws got into the act. It is said that more and more women than men die from their first and their last MI, myocardial infarction, because they didn't know they were having one and commonly mistake it as indigestion. They take some, in America, Malax or other anti-heartburn preparation and they go to bed, hoping they'll feel better in the morning when they wake up, which doesn't happen. My female friends, your symptoms might not be exactly the same as mine, so I advise you to call the paramedics if anything is unpleasantly happening that you've not felt before. It's better to have a false alarm visitation than to risk your life guessing what it might be. Number 2. Note that I said call the paramedics, and if you take an aspirin, ladies, take it because time is the essence. If aspirins will thin your blood, and so it will be easier to circulate. Do not try to drive yourself to the emergency wards. You're a hazard on the roads. Do not have your panicked husband, who will also be speeding and looking anxiously at what's happening to you instead of the road. Do not call the doctor. He doesn't know where you live, and if it's at night, you won't reach him anyway. And the equipment in his car will not include what you need. The paramedics will have it, and what principally you need is oxygen. And you need it as soon as possible. They'll tell your doctor later. Number 3. Don't assume it couldn't be a heart attack because you have normal cholesterol in account. Research has discovered that the cholesterol level elevated readings is rarely the cause of an MI, myocardial infarction, unless it is unbelievably high and accompanied by high blood pressure. MIs are usually caused by long-term stress and inflammation in the body. Now, stress, I'm not talking about stress where you're worried, although that does affect it, but the body is stressed and the arteries are stressed, they could be clogged. So, it's usually caused by long-term stress and inflammation in the body, which dumps all sorts of deadly hormones into your system to sludge things up. As I say, it gets all stopped up in there. Pain in the jaw can wake you from a sound sleep. Let's be careful and be aware. The more we know, the better chance we could survive. The more we know, the better chance we could survive. A cardiologist says if everyone who sees the post would share or repost, you can sure will save at least one life. So share, if you will. I encourage you to share. Please be a true friend and share this article with all your friends, women and men too. And most men have female loved ones and would greatly benefit to know this information. So, okay, I spoke there for almost 15 minutes, I believe. And so, it's a very important issue. There's more men on on my channel than there are women, but women, please take notice, and men, let your wife, let your girls, your children know about this and discuss it at work, at play. save a life. Save a life. If you like this comment, please do you yourself comment and press the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, because it's free. It's free, so it won't hurt you. And I want to say, be good, be safe, and goodbye from me, DJ, on this one. But I'll be back soon. So bye for now. Bye.